Hey everyone, before we begin, um, wanted to say that I got a note from TZ Audio Products. They wanted to know if I wanted to try out their Stella X2 microphone, and that's what we're using today. Now, what I had was a Rode microphone that was a straight USB mic. This is a step up in terms of what you need to connect it up to your computer. So for example, it's a 48 volter, so it has to have a box that the microphone connects up to. And for you people who are used to regular microphone cables with those anywhere between 3 and I've seen 5 pins going into it. This is a 3-pin version. So it has a larger cable and a larger connector that goes with it. And that is from the microphone to the box, and then the box itself has to have the USB input to the computer. So that's what I've got right now. Trying it out. It is something I purchased. Now, will I get a rebate? Yes, I will if I do the videos, but I want to get it tested out and see what I think about it. So far, I like what I've heard from the microphone. I'll let you guys be the judge because I've got all of my Adobe Audition settings the same. So we'll see how it goes. Now that we've talked about the microphone, let's talk about renting equipment. Now, there are several really, really nice lenses that are out there that are in the $10,000 and up range. Personally, I use Lens Rentals. I like their company, and I like how they send me the microphone or the camera or the camera equipment that I've rented from them. Comes via FedEx usually. It's all set to go back. All you have to do is put the sticker on the outside and put the provided tape around it to send it back. And their rates are reasonable. So you can get a $10,000 lens for a couple $100 for 7 days. So think about this. You don't have to go out and buy the equipment. Maybe it's something you want to put in your kit, but maybe it's something you don't need all the time. For example, there is a Browns raid coming up at Fort Ticonderoga this September. So I've got a 70-200 f2.8. Because what I want to do is I want to capture something different this year. So in previous years, what I've done is try to capture the entire event. But what I want to do is I want to tell the story from the perspective of a person. So I'm going to find somebody in there, put this down to 2.8, zoom in tight as I can at 200, and try to capture that person. So what you'll see is them very clearly, but the rest of the soldiers around them, the rest of the activity will fall away. And it'll allow me to center in on a person, right? So rather than doing here's the entire battle going forward, here's where I'm centering in on a particular person that I'm going to put a spotlight on by everything else being out of focus in bokeh. Now, it's going to cost me a little over $100 for this lens. It's a $2,700 lens. So it's going to cost me a little over $100 for the period of 5 days. So I'm going to get it a couple of days before. Now, if you're renting, it's usually a good idea to leave yourself a little gap. And that's because they will send it out early, and you will not be billed for it if it arrives a day or two early. You aren't going to get an additional bill for that. But just in case, because sometimes something will come up with the weather the way it's been and the flooding and everything, who knows what could happen that could delay the shipment. So I usually give it a couple of days before and a day or two after. So I need it for the weekend. I've got it scheduled for Thursday, and I'll send it back on Tuesday because I want to have it I don't want to have to rush once I get the pictures back. And I just want to get into that headspace of working with the photographs and editing those photographs. I don't want to have to worry about the lens going back that day. I may not have any other use for it, but we'll see what happens beyond the event. In addition, by having it a day or two in advance, that gives me time to get used to the lens, get used to its weight, get used to how it functions, get used to using it, just taking some photographs around the property just to see what the lens is like, right? So that way I get used to what it is, what I'm using before I go out and use it. And I've been doing that with everything that I've gotten so far. Just test it out and see what it's going to be like. Again, if this feels like something I would like to have in my camera bag, it's a $2,700 lens. I can think about it. If it's something that I'm just going to use for things like Brown's Raid or events like that I only need it for a couple of days here and a couple of days there, well, if I use it 5 times a year, it's $500, right? Assuming that's always the same lens that I would want to use, it would take me 5 years of renting it at $500 a year to be equal to purchasing it. So I always keep that in the back of my mind. I had lenses that I absolutely loved and I kept. Not from them. I went out and bought a brand new version of it because while I like lens rentals for the renting, I'm not crazy about the prices that they charge for the used equipment. So what I've done is I've got a 100 to 400. It's a non-fixed focal point, which means it's variable. And it does a perfectly presentable job for what I do most of the time. I'm shooting events. I don't care if everything's in focus or not. But here I wanted to try something different this year. I wanted to try focusing in a little bit more. So we'll see. It's an experiment for me. It's not something I've ever done before. It's not a way that I'm used to shooting. So it's going to be a lot of learning for me in September of using this lens and getting the best that I can out of it for the events that I'm taking. And then we'll see. Maybe it's something I want to hang on to and maybe it's not. My 24-70 2.8 has been wonderful. And I love having that lens. Again, that was an almost $3,000 lens. So getting a 70 to 200 will give me a range of 24 to 200 that I'll have in my bag ready to go. So we'll have to see. If I do that, then the 100 to 400 that I've got will probably get relegated to landscape photography or shooting events where I just want the entire event. I want to get into the action, if you will. For example, the latest event that they had at Fort Ticonderoga, they always have protective lines in place to keep everybody safe. Staying on the backside of that protective line means that I'm far enough away from the action that I need to have that zoom. I need to be able to pull that action closer to me. And sometimes that 400 is what I need. So I've got to see if the 70 to 200 is actually going to be enough for me. I know that there's a fixed focal Canon 300 that they're coming out with. That's an f, I think, 2, maybe a 2.8, but it's a 300 millimeter lens. That's going to be a very expensive piece of glass because of the size of the glass that's in it. So we'll see. But again, if you're going to use something and you're thinking about it might be something you want to have in your bag, rent it for a while. Get used to it. See what you think about it. Maybe you'll like it. Maybe you won't. Maybe you won't have as many uses for it as you thought you did. And if you don't, you can always go back and rent it again. So that's what I got for you guys this week on the new TZ Audio Products Stellar X2 microphone. So I'll talk to you guys all next week.